making a movie like this, there's a million things to keep.
And we are live. Hey everyone. How are we doing? How are the audio levels? That is one question that I want to ask before we get started. Is everything okay? Are volume levels good for people? We good? Music is fine? Hey, hi. Hi. My mom's in the chat. That's actually my mom probably. That's funny. Not really sure. Oh man, I keep getting ads on this music. So I'm not really sure how we're gonna do this. I have a number of questions that people asked ahead of time, and so one thing, yeah, I'm gonna go look at that on the channel. We'll answer some of the top asked ones. So I haven't really looked at these too carefully. And I'm just gonna talk, and then maybe I'll answer some that are in the chat. All right. So let's look at the top comment. All right. So the top comment that people are asking, and I'm gonna pause the music now. It's kind of distracting. So the top comment that people are asking is, how was your financial aid experience, or how does it work in Harvard and Ivies? I think this is a really good question, and this is something that I've been wanting to kind of make a video on, and I might end up making a video on, because I think that there's actually a pretty big misconception when it comes to grades at Harvard, or to tuition at Harvard. And that is that I think a lot of people think that everybody pays the full ticket price, which is, I think this year, like $71,000 a year, which is like absolutely crazy. And so what the actual situation is, most people here, I believe, are on financial aid. I'm definitely on significant financial aid. My family is comfortably middle class. We're not super rich. I mean, my mom's in the chat. She'll tell you that. And I definitely would not be able to afford to go to Harvard if it weren't for some really good financial aid that I've been given. And so I actually end up only paying like 10% of that. And that's just based on your family's income, your income, stuff like that. And so I think a lot of people are put off from talking about going into an Ivy League school, even with their parents, because they think that they just won't be able to afford it. I know that was actually the case with my brother. He was a little bit put off by the idea of even thinking about Harvard because it just seemed like it was too expensive. It's not. Other Ivy League schools, though, can be more expensive. And the reason being is that Harvard has this really big endowment and they pour a lot of resources into financial aid. And it's pretty revolutionary what they're doing, because if your family makes less than, I think, $60,000 a year, maybe 65, you actually get to go for free, which is pretty cool. I mean, so it's something that not every school offers. Basically, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton offer the best financial aid, and then after that, it kind of drops off. But the tuition also drops off a little bit, but it might be, for me at least, it would have been significantly more expensive to go to a school like Brown, Columbia, Dartmouth than it would be to go to Harvard, even though Harvard's overall tuition is much greater. Awesome. Cool. I need moderator in chat. Blue. Just let me know. How do I make someone a moderator? Are there commands? I'm very new to this live streaming thing. But I think things are for the most part okay. Okay, let's go on to another question, and then maybe I'll answer some in chat. What's up, Andrew? How are you? Is water wet? Oh, we can get into that one later. Okay. One question someone asked is, how many hours do I recommend to study per day? Honestly, I think, yeah, I was thinking about making a video about this earlier. There's a lot of these questions that I want to make videos about. In that I feel like there is a weird side of YouTube, like the study with me videos that people have, where like the more hours that you put in, the more views that you get. Like people really idolize this idea of spending, like for example, I saw a video that was like a 15-hour study day. Like 15 hours. Like that's actually crazy, because that means that if you sleep for 9 hours, that is your entire day spent studying. It's just not healthy. I am a big advocate for balance in life. I think that you should be pursuing many different things. You should be pursuing relationships, athletics, and academics, of course. And there should be a hierarchy in your life that accord with your goals. And so for me, someone who's fairly academically oriented, the amount of studying that I do, now it varies day to day, but on average, I probably do like 3 hours of studying a day. Just like being realistic. Yeah, it's not that much, and people might be kind of surprised by that. But it's really, I'm an effective studier, first of all, and also I'm spending time in class. So overall, like my school commitment in a day is probably like 6 hours on average. It's not a ton. Yeah. All right, people are really asking a lot of questions here. That's cool. I really like that. I don't know how to pick out the important ones. I'm going to answer some that are really quick. Do I have an Instagram? Yes, I have an Instagram. It's at @thejohnfish. Pretty easy. You should be able to find me. How much am I going to sell the notebooks for? So the notebooks will have a ticket price of $20, but if you sign up for my newsletter, which you can find a link to in a bunch of different things, it's going to be $15 when I launch it. So keep an eye out for that, because 25% off. Like, who doesn't want that? And they'll be on sale on Amazon. Let's look at some other ones. One sec. I want to see if I can mod somebody. This blue guy seems like they know what they're doing. Mod blue. Does that work? Well, how to mod someone on YouTube Live. We're really learning this as we go. Oh, okay. I see. Great. All right, Blue, you have earned privileges as moderator. Ah, shoot, that was James Kim. This is really hard to line up, sorry. James, you're also a moderator, question mark? Oh, great. Okay, Blue, you're a moderator. Woo! James, you're also a moderator. Okay. Koa asked, what's my intended concentration? Computer science. I'll be concentrating in computer science, maybe with a secondary in film, VES, visual and environmental studies. I haven't really decided on that yet. Okay. I'm going to go back now to some of the questions that people were asking on the community page. What time, oh, this is an easy one. What time do I wake up on school days and how much sleep do I try to get? All right. I'm a big advocate for sleep. And I think if you watch my how I study video, you'll see that. You'll see that I really do care about sleeping like a lot. And I think that my personal experience and the studies that I've read really support that. So to answer the question, on school days, usually I wake up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning. I have classes starting at 9 a.m. and I try and just have a good morning routine, like an hour, hour and a half, that just set me up for the day well. I don't do a lot of work. I've gone through phases of doing work in the morning and getting up really early, but that's just not really conducive to being in college, because in college a lot of things happen at night. And so if you're going to bed late and waking up early, it just doesn't work. So I aim to get 9 hours and 15 minutes of sleep a night, which is a lot. The reason that I do this is because I am an active person. I work out a lot. And I can't really talk too much in the specifics of that, but because of the amount of physical activity that I do, I need a lot more sleep than I would if I were not being so rigorously physically active. So my recommendation is, though, at least 8 hours of sleep. So if you're not getting that, you should think about it, because it honestly makes your life a lot better. And you actually free up time in your day by being more efficient, and you're just generally happier if you're more well rested. Okay. What are the other colleges I applied to? I actually didn't apply to any other colleges. I applied to Harvard Early Action and got in. So that's all. I didn't bother applying anywhere else. Once I knew I was in, there's no way I was going to another school. Someone asked if I think Harvard is the most prestigious school in the world. I do, but I think that prestige only matters here and there. There's only a few specific cases where actually going to a prestigious school is going to help you out a lot. Obviously, there are more resources available at Harvard, but I think the main things with prestige, at least, is if you plan on working abroad or studying abroad or anything like that, people recognize your school. But for example, like where I come from in Canada, the University of Waterloo, everybody in Canada knows about the University of Waterloo. And so if you only plan on studying in Canada, if you plan on staying in Canada, then going to U Waterloo actually makes a lot of sense, because everyone knows it's a top computer science school. They know that your education is going to be really good. And so does it really matter if you go to U Waterloo or Yale? I don't think so in terms of prestige. Okay. At Sabrina asks about the notebook again. So the notebook, it's something that I'm really excited about. I do want to talk, I have it right here actually. I can show it to you guys. I have the mock-up. Here it is. Ooh, fancy. Yeah. So the notebook, like I said, $15 when it launches. It'll be on Amazon, hopefully early/middle of May. I'm talking to my supplier about that. That looks like reasonably when it'll be available, but you'll know. All right. Wow, so many questions. This is great, guys. Thank you all for coming out and watching. By the way, I really do appreciate it. Let's talk. EU Amazon too. No, so it'll just be in the US at first, and US Amazon, I believe, does international shipping at a cost. So the reason that I'm doing it in Amazon is because of Amazon's FBA, their fulfillment, which makes it available to be on Amazon Prime, stuff like that. And it's really the only way that I could feasibly roll it out to start. And then maybe in the future, if it continues to grow, we'll look at putting some in warehouses overseas and in other countries. But to start, because the US is my biggest audience, I kind of have to do that. Okay. Woo! Let's add Nightbot to my stream. Yeah, I should probably do that, Blue. That's a good idea. Cool. Beta.nightbot.tv. I probably shouldn't do that while I'm streaming though. Okay, let's just answer some of these off the top. If I got bad grades in grade 9, could I get into Harvard? Yes, you definitely can. I don't think they really look at your grade 9 grades at all that much. But you do have to, make sure that you're doing well in school and later, to a certain extent, I like to say that academics at Harvard, they're like a checkbox, right, in the application. And so if you are applying to Harvard and you have, say, like a 1540 SAT, which is really good, and you have like a 3.9 GPA, all that they're looking at that for, all that they look at the academics and the SAT for is, can they feasibly graduate in 4 years taking an academically rigorous course load here? And if the answer is yes, which it will be if you have stats that are up there, then they really don't look at academics at all. Then they start looking at extracurriculars and passions. And that's why I really recommend for everyone talking about applying to colleges to really focus in on their passions. Like, pursue what you love, and that's what's going to matter more than anything in the college application process and more generally like in life. Like, do what makes you happy. And if that gets you into a great school, then that's amazing. But if it doesn't, that shouldn't be your biggest worry. Talking about SAT, there's like a bunch of questions in the SAT. Okay, if you don't do the PSAT, can you still do the SAT? Well, yes, I didn't do the PSAT at all. I took the SAT once. I did well. Someone asked what I scored. I scored a 1540. That's why I said 1540. How did I take it in Canada? Internationally, you can look up where SAT testing centers are offered. And in Canada, there's usually one within like an hour of where you live, if you live in Ontario especially. I think you said, Chris, you're in Waterloo, so there's one like right outside Waterloo. How did I get into editing and videos? Whoa, there's music playing outside. How did I get into editing and videos? It's kind of, I've always been someone that watched YouTube a lot. That was like my main time sink during middle school, during high school. It's what I love to do. And I would always like pretend to be making videos. And so then, I made a few little videos like with my friends, especially back in elementary school, actually. I made a bunch of videos, but never anything serious, obviously, like elementary, middle school, what are you going to do? And then there were two real things that got me into making videos. So the first one was a challenge called the Breakthrough Junior Challenge. And so if you don't know what that is, basically it's a math and science video competition that's run for people between 13 and 18 years old. And it's actually really good timing that people are asking about this, because that competition is open right now. If you're in high school and you're interested in doing that, it's like an amazing experience. And so I did it, I think it was the first year that it was offered. 2015, I want to say, maybe 2016. And I made a video on the EPR paradox as one of the first videos on my channel. And I actually ended up being a finalist, which meant I was top 15 in the world after like 3 or 4 rounds of peer review and then professional judging review. And I didn't win, which would have been really nice because it's a $250,000 scholarship if you win. So that's kind of sad. But it was an amazing experience, and it really opened my eyes to the idea that I could make videos and be successful doing it. So that was the first experience. And then the second one was I took a Comtech course at my high school, and I was really lucky because my Comtech teacher, Comtech is communications technology, and the teacher is just incredible. I took the course more because I wanted to have a course with her, and it ended up being like amazing. And about halfway through that course, I was like, you know what? I've been watching Casey Neistat for a while. He always talks about making videos early, or making videos every day. I'm just going to try it. And so I tried it, and it kind of stuck. Okay, I spent a while talking about that, but sweet. Okay, what camera do I use? I use a Sony a5000. But let's talk more about school stuff. Okay. What is the most important thing for getting into an Ivy League? The most important thing, I think, on your application, and someone else asked this in a question asking about a spike, and I think that that's partially true. People always talk about spikes on an application, and a spike is like, it's a part of your application. It's like a passion that really you're world-class at. So like, you might be a good student, you might have good extracurriculars in general, and then you are, like in my case, like one of my spikes was that I was in this breakthrough challenge thing. Like that's something where you're one of the best in the world at it. And I think that that's true, but I think the reason that that is so effective on applications is not because you're actually the best in the world at it. I don't think it's like an objective, like, are you a high achiever? But it's more, to be the best in the world at something, you need to have a very strong passion for it. And I think that that's what Harvard and other schools look for more than anything, is just they look for their applicants to have passions, like things that they care about and that they will pursue on their own, that they're not just doing for a resume or just for an application. Like it's kind of counterintuitive, because the things that you're doing that will help you to get into college shouldn't be things that you're doing because you want to get into college. And I think a lot of people mess that up, because I see a lot of people talk about, especially people here, there are a few people here like that just said, you know, I didn't have fun with any of my extracurriculars during high school. And I think that that's kind of crazy. Like, why would you not do things that you have fun with? The only advice that I can really give is do things that make you happy, that you have fun with, and just do them with everything that you have. Do them with your whole heart, and just dedicate time and energy to them. And that's going to be a big sacrifice. You're going to have to let go of some of the habits that you have, like maybe social media, maybe you're just going to have to force yourself to roll out of bed and do it. But if it's something that you love, that should be no problem. Okay. All right. Okay. There's so many questions. Thank you guys all so much for asking these questions. I love this. Books. People have been asking questions about books, and I love talking about books. Enable slow mode. Ooh, okay. How do I do that? It's probably a good idea. Stream options, basic info, advanced settings. Slow mode, settings, okay. Yes, there we go. All right. Yeah, we'll enable slow mode just because I think that, you know, we don't want people spamming questions. Messages are so fast. Whoa. Great. Okay. Sweet. Let's talk about books, though. What are books that I would recommend for everyone to read? Let me grab a few. First of all, I have a list of books that I've read this year. It's not very updated. It's about 4 or 5 books behind, but it's on my website. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And if you want to read those books, or if you want to read that list, you can. The one book that I recommend everybody to read is it's called, what's it called specifically? It's called Mindset. And it's by Carol Dweck, who is a Stanford professor, and it's talking about the growth mindset, and it's absolutely unreal. So if you're looking for a a book that might potentially change your life in a way that you look at life, that's one that I would really recommend. Another one is 10% Happier by Dan Harris. If you're into meditation, or you think that meditation is something that you might be into, it's crazy because he talks about, in a very real way, just talking about his life, he talks about meditation and how much it has impacted him in terms of becoming a happier person. So that's another book. And then the third book, one that I just finished and that I'm actually going to be writing an essay on in my XPLOS class, is Flow. And Flow is it's a book talking about optimal experience and what makes things happy. Sorry, I got distracted there because Israel donated $1. Thank you so much, Israel. That really means a lot. Did you have a question attached to it? I can't see anything. I don't think so. Hey, Hannah Batul, how are you? Cool. Yes, so let me actually grab those books real quick. I'll be right back. One sec. Okay. So the books that I was talking about, Mindset, excellent book. I definitely recommend that to everyone. And if you want a link to it, it's on the page that I talked about, I think. 10% Happier. This is definitely on the page that I talked about. Unreal book, just absolutely unreal. And finally, Flow, which is just, it's kind of a tough read, not gonna lie. I had a bit of a hard time getting through it, and just because it's written, it's a book that's like 30 or 40 years old now, I think, and the research isn't super up to date, but it honestly changed the way that I see the world, which is super cool. Avishek, thank you so much for the $1. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That anti-so, yeah. Woo. Okay. So yeah, books are crazy. I'm like 18 or 19 books deep into the year, and it's changing my life. There will be a video coming out during the summer once I get out of Harvard and back home, where I'll be talking about books. So stay tuned for that. Oh, Blue, Yash Shah is my friend. You can leave his messages. He's funny. Okay. All right. Can I try and do some vlogs? Yeah. So I used to vlog every day. And actually, so my next video probably is going to be a day in the life of a Harvard computer science student. I think that's going to be it. It's either going to be the next video or 2 videos from now. And that'll be like vlog style. Honestly, I can't really daily vlog just because of the time commitment. I can't have quality videos and daily videos and still do well in school and pursue passions. Like, it just doesn't happen. I can't do that at this point in my life, but I've been messing around with ideas about how I could do that. I think right now my plan is in December of this year to vlog every day. And maybe I'll extend that a bit further out, but we'll see. What's up, Addison? How are you? Christine, you're there too. Wow. Gorov. Wow. A bunch of my friends are here. Colin, €2. Thank you so much. I don't know how much a euro is in dollars. But that's awesome. Thank you. Amazing. A day in the life is going to go viral. I hope so. All right. Let's talk about things. Kubi, who made you to upload more often? You did, Jacob. Okay, let's go back to some other questions. What extracurriculars are worth spending time on? That's the next most upvoted one. I think pretty much every extracurricular is worth spending time on as long as you're doing it because you care about it. Like, don't do things. There were so many kids in high school that did this. They just did things to like look good. They would become president of like 5 clubs just because they wanted it to look good on university applications. And for some people it worked. But my opinion, and I mean, I guess it's backed up by my experience in terms of looking at the people around me here at Harvard, is that the most successful people are ones who do take those leadership positions, but they do it in things that they care about. Like, are you the captain of a sports team? Like, do you lead your friends in that sense? If you really care about science, like I did science fair, I was one of the executive members on our science club at school. Like, things that I care about. That's what the extracurriculars are that you should be approaching. Okay. Yves Sarah, thank you so much for the $1. That's amazing. All right, let's answer I'm just going to go to chat questions now because the rest of them, I think people are asking in chat. So let's talk. The way I say about is so Canadian. People make fun of me for that all the time. It's actually hilarious. I really do get roasted about that. But it's okay, it's fine. I didn't think that I said it before I came here, and then people just started commenting on it. Like, every time that I would talk to people, every time I'd say about or like workout or out, people just say that it's funny. But I think it's cool. All right. Julia, I'm Harvard 2022. Any general advice for an incoming freshman? First of all, congrats. That's amazing. Incoming freshman. I'm going to be making a whole video about this in the summer because I feel like I could just talk about this for a long time. My one thing that I would recommend is don't let yourself get too caught up in school, so much so that you forget to do the things that got you into Harvard in the first place. Like, I think a lot of people see Harvard and they go, oh man, like I really got to get this 4.0 because I want to. I made a video why my 4.0 is a failure, go watch it. But I feel like I got caught into that trap. Like, people were just like, there's a peer pressure mentality, which is you need to do well in school in order to be accepted here. And honestly, like, that's not the case. Like, do the things that you care about and still like do well in school, like still care about school, obviously. But yeah. Okay. How deep is the Harvard-Yale rivalry? Well, I'm dating a girl that's going to Yale next year. So, can't be that deep. Let's go. Do I watch any sports? Yeah, I mean, occasionally I watch sports. I'm like, I don't have a TV in my room, and so watching sports like isn't always great. But I watched March Madness. That was cool. Villanova all the way. Gorov, thanks for the $1. Woo! Sagar, what's up, buddy? Emeric, you're studying at Laval. That's amazing. I do know students from Quebec. McGill was one of the schools that I was really looking at. If you're in Canada, or if you're not in Canada and you want to, go to a school in Canada, McGill is like one of the best ones. Laval is really good too, though. All right. Let's see. What major am I studying? Computer science. Addison, St. FX. St. FX is also, it's a great school. Addison is one of my friends from back home. There's actually a bunch of my friends from back home in the chat right now because I put this on Twitter and Instagram, I guess. At TheJohnFish, both on Twitter and Instagram. Follow if you want. Shameless plug. All right. Did I take AP Chem in high school? I did. And I guess I'll transition into like AP IB here. Because a lot of people wonder, is it worthwhile to take AP or IB? I am of the opinion that it doesn't matter that much. And I think that Harvard would probably back me up on that, in that you should first of all, go to the school that interests you the most. If you have the choice between a few, don't go because one offers AP or IB. For example, I went to my school, first of all, because my dad was a teacher there, which was great. But also more so because they had an amazing tech program. And I talked a little bit about this, like the ComTech program, but it was actually an electrical engineering program. Like, the school was, it was crazy, just the electrical engineering. Like, a bunch of the guys in the chat could probably back that up because they all took that class with Mr. Webb, great guy. And so that's why I went to my high school, and then I ended up taking AP classes because they were offered. But a lot of my friends took IB classes, and I don't think that it's worthwhile because they all really complained about how much school was eating up their life and how much they couldn't dedicate time to things that made them happy. Like everyone just seemed miserable. And I don't think it actually helped pretty much any of them in the end. Like I had one friend that went to school in England out of like the probably like 50 people that I know in IB. So unless you actually plan on going like fully across seas, like if you plan on going to like England or China or wherever, like a place where, you know, your curriculum might not actually transfer, or if you're from those places and you want to come to America, it might be worth it. In my opinion, AP was definitely worth it because it was offered at my school, but if it wasn't offered at my school, it wouldn't have mattered. Harvard cares that you take the most rigorous classes available. And in my case, that was AP, but might not be in general. All right. Let's talk about some other stuff. Is it okay to ask about the ratio of race in CS department? Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I can only speak to, I don't know the actual statistics, but my sections, like my 10 people sections were like fairly racially diverse. It was probably like 40% white. I can't really break down the other races off the top of my head, but like Harvard in general is a fairly diverse community, and it's becoming more and more diverse. I think this year was actually the first year where the incoming class was over 50% not white. So making movements, you know. Blue, thank you so much, by the way, for being this awesome moderator. I really do appreciate that. I should probably get more people to mod. I should have gotten my friends to do it. All right. There were some good questions that went by. Carmela, will I go to prom with you? Sorry, Carmela, that ship has already sailed. Let's talk about motivation. Let's talk about procrastination and motivation, because people are asking about that. Okay, so I mean, this is something that everybody struggles with. I think everyone looks at people. I mean, especially like when you have things like YouTube, and you have people like me on YouTube, where I don't really upload that many videos when I'm procrastinating. Like that just doesn't make sense. And then you've got people that are studying, like the study with me, whatever. Like I feel like a lot of people think that in order to be successful in school, you have to get rid of procrastination entirely. And I think that that's not true. The one thing that I always tell people, or that I always want to tell people, is like, don't beat yourself up too much. Like it's a very Zen concept. If you read 10% Happier, they'll get into that a little bit. But don't treat yourself like you have to be perfect, because you will never be perfect, right? There will always be other problems that you have to solve. All that you can really control is what you're going to be doing in the moment. And so really, to motivate yourself, you have to kind of let go of the past. You have to kind of say, you know what, like, sure, I've been watching YouTube for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, but what am I going to do now? You know, like, what am I going to, because that's all you can control. And I think a lot of people get caught up in this cycle, and I do it too, right? Where it's like, you're on YouTube and then you're like, oh, I've been watching YouTube for 2 hours. Like, what's another half hour going to do? Whatever. Yeah, I mean, you just can't beat yourself up too much. You really can't. You gotta love yourself. Tico, thank you so much for the €2. I really appreciate that. Little money, anything counts, man. That's awesome. What was my senior year average? I don't know, dude. 97%, I think, around there. But again, like senior year, I took weird courses because I'd finished all of my other courses. I took like AP Calc in grade 11, stuff like that. So by the time I was in grade 12, I was taking like Comtech, world history. I don't even know what else I took. I took an online course in economics, just a bunch of weird courses. I don't think that matters. Again, it's just a checkbox. Like, can you graduate from Harvard? If yes, you're good. Yosh says boost. No, it's not a boost. Like, all right. Final clubs. Oh, final clubs are weird. So if you don't know what a final club is, it's basically like the Harvard equivalent of a frat. It was a single gender organization, and now they're expanding. So it used to be like only guys like frats and only girls like sororities, and now they can't do that anymore actually as of this year, and so they have to be intermingled. It has to be guys and girls. I guess they don't really run the social life here as much as like a frat would on other campuses. I think part of that is that Harvard is open to people throwing parties in the dorms, in the upperclassmen dorms. They're not on the yard, but because there are people that are of legal drinking age, like they do allow people to, in common spaces, to throw parties, and you just have to book that and go through the right channels. And I think because of that, because there is space and like it's not frowned upon, then the final clubs lose a lot of power. That being said, like they still have a significant amount of power. You do get a huge social advantage if you're into that type of thing, but like I'm not a partier at all. If you know me, you'll know that that's true. And so I'm not going to join a final club. I'm not going to try. It's not for me. Yeah, final clubs are weird. They're weird, yeah. Am I suffering from anorexia? No, I'm not. I eat a lot. Lies is a party animal. Do I have any thoughts about mindfulness? Good question. I love mindfulness. I took a class last semester. So at Harvard, you do these things called freshman seminars, which are like these 12 people classes, 12 people classes with a professor who's like a leading expert in the field. And so I decided to take one on Zen Buddhism. Very weird. Something that I'd done Headspace before, like the app, the mindfulness app, and I found it really effective for me, and I wanted to understand it at a deeper level. And then that course really opened my eyes to the Zen tradition and just like the potential for improving your life with it. And I thought that was super cool. So I ended up getting more and more into mindfulness. Now I meditate regularly. I do Zazen meditation. If you want to read a book about meditation, read Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. Weird read, but it's basically like a manual for why you should meditate and how to meditate, and it's unreal. Headspace is really cool though too. So if you want like an intro that's like an easy intro, check out Headspace. I think you can do like 10 sessions for free, something like that. Check it out for sure. Sup Brazil from Mateus. Wow, Connor's in this chat too. He got timed out. Oh man. All right. Jasnir, what did you ask? I have no idea. Sorry, dude. Okay. Will I make merch? Yeah, that's gonna happen this summer probably. Oh, I do want to transition to talk about something now. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner, I made a Patreon, which is crazy. That's me. Oh wow, someone's already a patron. That's so cool. Thank you so much. I don't know who you are. That's amazing. Yeah, so I made a Patreon. I want to talk a little bit about it. So access to stuff early. Let me actually, one sec. Let me get my screen up here. Whoa, okay. What's up, chat? So, Patreon. How do I do this? Okay. There we go. Okay. So, I just want to talk a little bit about why I made a Patreon and then what becoming a patron might do. So, I made a Patreon basically because I think that, I'm looking for more ways to support making videos because I am responsible for paying my tuition. And so what that means is that over this school year, I've actually had to work a job in a library just to pay part of that tuition off. And while I have nothing against work. I think that the fact that if I could turn videos into a revenue source and help people and do things that I care about and still be able to pay my tuition, like that'd be amazing. So hence Patreon. So let's talk about this. So if you donate $5 or more a month, you will get access to new projects. So talking about like the growth book, for example, you'll get early access to that with the discount, of course. When I'm talking about merch, that'll be happening too. You'll get access to that early. Before anything, you'll be the first. Now, the other thing is, if you think that this live stream is good, but that it's, traveling a little bit quick, which like it is, definitely, and I'm not answering your questions, then there will be a live stream that I do every other week that's going to be private, only to patrons. I guess that's what they're called. So only to patrons will it be available. And because that's going to be limited to only the people that are donating, you should be able to get your questions answered. 25, if you want your name in a video, I just thought that this would be kind of cool. You know, if you really do want to support me, I will put your name in a video. You will be a sponsor in my video. I've been doing sponsored videos recently. If you guys have noticed, like with Brilliant.org and with Crimson Education, stuff like that. It's just a really good way to make more money off the videos. But I think it'd be really cool to do community-sponsored videos where I don't have to talk about certain topics. Because while the Crimson Education or Brilliant, like the sponsors are generally like, yeah, talk about whatever you want to talk about. It'd be really cool to just do videos that are, you know, just on my own. I think that'd be really cool. And this is a way that you could do that. Finally, a lot of people, this is like $75 more a month. That's a lot of money. And the idea with this is basically like, if you want to hire me to be a college consultant for you, this is a good way to do that. I'm charging, this is below market rate for a college consultant, and I will look at your application and I'll edit your essay, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But anyways, enough of being a sellout. Let's go back to the, let's go back to the stream. All right. But yeah, so Patreon, check it out. Woo! You need some John Fish socks? Yeah, dude, we can make that happen for sure. All right, let's talk about programming. Why not? Let's do it. So some questions that people have been asking about programming. Okay, let me think. Oh yeah. So one question was, what are the hardest programming languages that I know? The hardest one that I know probably right now is OCaml. Because it's a functional programming language, which I had no experience with. It's not like syntactically that weird or anything like that, but like OCaml is just a strange language and nobody really uses it outside of like CS51 at Harvard, which is a course that I'm taking, and then Jane Street, which is a like financial consulting firm or something. Like nobody uses it. So I think it's kind of funny that it's a, I don't know, that's the language they chose to use, but it's cool. Functional programming is really cool. Okay. What programming language did I learn in high school, and what were some of the projects that I did in high school? All right. What did I know in high school? So, okay, so let me talk through like my programming languages progression. So grade 5, I was lucky. I got really lucky because I had a friend in grade 5 that was like got into making websites like in grade 5. Like how weird is that, right? And he was my best friend at the time, and he was just like, "Hey, you should check out HTML. It's really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, HTML, that's dope." Started making, you know, terrible little websites, and it was great fun. Did that for a couple years. Grade 7, picked up Python because there was a programming contest called the CCC, the Canadian Computing Competition, and as a competitive person, I wanted to do well in it. So I picked up Python for that. And Python was one of the languages that I have stuck with. Like I was programming in Python today. Like it's an amazing language. If I could recommend one language to anyone, it would be Python. Then what did we do after that? So CS at my school is taught in Java, first in Python, then in Java. So we did that. On the side though, I was still doing web development. So I did HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that's what got me into some of the projects that I did that ended up helping me get software development internships. They were all web projects that I did primarily. Well, there were 2 projects. So the one, they're both related to trees, believe it or not, and they both worked with the same data set. I found a data set of 100,000 trees in my area, which is a lot of trees, and they were all geotagged, meaning that they had latitude and longitude coordinates. I would definitely recommend, if you're into programming, like check out what weird data you have in your area, because I guarantee you might come across things and you'll just be shocked. So this was one of those things that was shocking. I built a social network then for those trees with a few of my buddies. We built, basically you'd walk around on a map and see trees near you, and then you could like tell people to meet you at trees and stuff like that. It was weird. Honestly, like drug dealers probably would have used it. We didn't really think about that while we were making it. But this was at a civic hackathon, and it actually ended up winning. First of all, because it was cool technology that we used, but also because we allowed people to report downed and damaged trees to the city. And, you know, with that, they really saw some potential in it, I guess. And so it was really cool. It was a great experience winning a hackathon, made a little bit of money off of it, but it was basically the equivalent of being paid like $10 an hour to make it, which is fine. I mean, whatever. Anyways, that project was one of the ones that actually got me hired at Shopify. I talked about that in my interview. And then another project that I did in Python was a machine vision project. This is what got me silver at National Science Fair. It was a project where I basically measured the biomass of a tree using computer vision, which is pretty neat. I don't really want to go into more detail than that, but you can find it online somewhere. So yeah. Basically, yeah, I just definitely recommend doing projects that you care about again. Just things that you're passionate about. Make something that you would want to use. And then if you're looking to get any internship ever, when you talk to people, they can tell when you care about it. And if you used cool technology and you implemented it well, like you put a lot of time and effort into it, it shows. And that's what companies care about more than anything on your resume. So, yeah. What's up, Carlos? How are you? What's up, Gian? All right. Are there great coffee shops near Harvard? If so, do they compare to Monogram? There are. There's one coffee shop in particular that I love. It's called Tate. If you come to Harvard Square ever, like hit it up for sure. It's basically right across the road from Widener Library. It's this super like bougie French cafe. And if you buy anything other than coffee there, it's really expensive. But the coffee is like basically priced at or below Starbucks, and is really good coffee. Like it's amazing. Cool atmosphere too. Yeah, I would say that's the only one that's really like comparable to Monogram. Monogram, if you don't know, it's a local cafe. I think I had a video in there once, but yeah. Cool. Welcome to everyone. I see that like I'm watching the analytics a little bit. I see that people are coming in and out. That's awesome. So welcome everyone. Thanks for dropping by. Hugo, oh, get out of here, dude. All right. Can you send me a gift? You can send me a gift. So if you're talking about a physical gift, wait, let me find if I posted this anywhere. I have a Harvard mailing address if you are sending me a physical gift, which is super cool of you. Oh, it's not actually in here. Let me do that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to send me anything, go for it. That would be super cool of people. Sorry, I'm typing. It's hard to type and talk. Okay, cool. It's in the description of my channel. So if you go to my channel, my About page, it's there. I mean, yeah, don't feel obliged to do anything, but that's cool. Yeah, okay. Have I met Yesrina? I have not. She's off in Europe doing something crazy, I guess. I don't know. Living life. It's awesome. Go Yesrina. Seems like a cool girl. Love to meet her one day, but I've not met her. Oh, yes. I was going to answer questions about Annenberg food. What's Annenberg like? Everyone wants to know that. Annenberg. If you don't know, Annenberg is a freshman dining hall, and it looks like Hogwarts. Like, it's crazy. So if you're... A lot of people actually... Okay, so a lot of people complain about Annenberg food, which I think is totally off base, because, like, it's amazing, to be honest. Like, okay, I shouldn't say it's amazing. The food, like, it's good. And you won't really get any, like, super standout dishes, and there will be bad dishes. But what's amazing is, like, someone is preparing food for you, like, basically for free, especially if you're on financial aid. Like, it's heavily subsidized. And that's, like, that's amazing. There are hacks to Annenberg food as well. Like, if you want to, like, you know how to get good food in Annenberg, there are people that are in the know-how. I'm one of them. Little things, here and there. The grill, definitely recommend using the grill, which is like you can order food that they'll cook back in the kitchen for you, like chicken breast, stuff like that. That's one way to eat consistently good food, but yeah. Thank you, Israel, so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, let's look at some other ones. Me and Maddie still going strong? Heck yeah, dude. We are. Long distance, making it happen. Have I read any computer science books? I have. If you're into computer science, check out. Well, okay, so I'm into artificial intelligence specifically. So Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark was one book that I read recently that's like talking about the future of the world with AI. Super cool. Definitely recommend. All right. Do you need SATs to enroll into Harvard? I recommend it. I think you can take SATs or ACTs, but you should. You should probably take one of them. Like a standardized test will be useful. Have I seen Malia Obama or Bill Gates' daughter yet? Yeah, I've seen Malia. She's like a normal student. I don't know what Bill Gates' daughter looks like. I didn't even know she was here until you mentioned that, so that's cool, I guess. They're just normal people. Like, they're people, just like you and I, you know. Can we get Jasper Fu on the stream? He's in my entryway, actually, but I think he's probably busy right now. Thanks, Jonathan, for the $2. That's a funny donation, dude. Jonathan's one of my friends from back home. I think they're just messing around. All right. How do you spell Annenberg properly? I'll put it in the chat. Annenberg. Cool. All right. Any news about my notebook? Notebook's coming out in probably middle of May, I want to say. And yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be pretty sweet, and that's going to launch. I got big plans for this, man. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. Let's answer some more questions. Hey, I'm from Russia. Are there any students from Russia in Harvard? Are there many students? Sorry. I think so. Harvard has a really strong international contingent. Like, I'm an international student. I know a bunch of people, like Great Britain. There's a lot of people from like England, that area. China always has a bunch of people coming over. I'm sure that Russia has a lot of people, like a bunch of, basically like it's proportionate to how many people in the world there are. Harvard takes people from pretty much every country. So it's awesome. I mean, they'll take anyone from any country, but we don't necessarily have representatives of like Madagascar, for example. We might. I don't know. All right. What is the book that I mentioned about AI? It's on my website. If you go to notes, my books, 2018 books rather, it's called Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. There's a link to it on my website. Ooh, okay. Link my website. Okay. Copy, paste. Okay. Okay. Advantages of using a Mac compared to Windows or Linux, especially for a computer science degree. So the reason that I recommend to people to use either Mac or Linux is because a lot of things that you're working on in computer science are built for Unix. For example, like OCaml, the language we're using right now. To get it to run on a Windows computer, you have to emulate Ubuntu, basically. Like, you can work around it, whatever, but it won't run natively on Windows, which is super annoying. And so if you're going to be taking, basically, in general, unless for a few programming languages that are primarily dying out, like Visual Basic, I think, only runs on Windows. But in general, things will always run on a Mac, and sometimes they'll run on Windows. I like Mac because it's like pretty, user-friendly. I have Final Cut on it. It's cool. It's very supported by everyone. And in general, libraries, at least in web development, are written by people on Macs. And so if you have a Mac, you know that it'll work. That's usually why I recommend Macs. But a lot of my friends, like, I would say like it's about 50-50 Macs and Windows between my friends in computer science. And for the most part, it doesn't matter. Like OCaml is, like I said, is like a very specific example. And I wouldn't count on programming in OCaml unless you come to Harvard, because honestly, I don't know of any other school that does it. My page has a 404 message on it. What? If I click that link, does it 404? Oh, shoot, it totally does. That's weird. What about... okay, one sec. let me do a link shortener. That's weird. My website it's going to be changed soon. We've got things in progress. So, all right. What's up, Roberto? How are you? Okay. Did I pay for the full price of Final Cut? So, long story behind how I got my hands on a copy of Final Cut. The copy that I'm using right now is the student discounted copy. Apple does this cool thing where you can get like a bunch of really interesting, like you can get Logic Pro, Final Cut, a bunch of their other creative things, and they offer it to students for like $200, I think, which is like an 80% discount. So that's how I got Final Cut. What's up, Joshua? How are you? Josh D'Souza. What's up? What do most people major in at Harvard? Ooh, let me think about this. What were the most, okay. The ones that like everyone talks about, economics, government. I think Hist and Lit used to be really big, but I think computer science is passing it now. But like economics and government, everyone wants to go into consulting for some reason. Like that's like the Harvard ideal. Like there's like, if you're on the Harvard meme page, it's the whole like Goldman Sachs internship, stuff like that. It's weird. A lot of people major in economics. We call them snakes because, you know, they'll do anything to get that Goldman internship. But yeah. All right, Blue. Take it easy, man. See you in a bit. Who wants to mod it in the meantime? Anyone that I know in the chat? I don't trust anyone. It's all good. John Chong. I don't know if I trust you, Jonathan. Susan for mod. That's true. I could make my mom a mod. That'd be fun. Is she still around? Yeah, she is. Oh, cool. Susan. Susan. I don't call my mom Susan. It's funny. Add moderator. Woo! Congrats, Mom. You're a mod. Awesome. What's up, Simon? I think Yale is a great school, and I'm really sad that we lost to them this year in the game, but, you know, that's life. All right, peace out, Blue. Josh, I can't talk too much about that NCAA stuff. Okay, is taking physics necessary to attending a good college? No, not at all. I mean, like, no, definitely not. Unless you want to go into like physics or computer science or like, I mean, not even computer science, like engineering. I know at my school at least, well, I shouldn't say at my school. If you're going to like a technical college, such as like MIT or like University of Waterloo, for example, then there will be certain requirements for your programs. And you might have to take physics, but like in general, to get like into Harvard, for example, no, definitely not. Okay. Let's talk about why would I pick Harvard over MIT or Stanford? Good question. For me, it was less of Harvard versus. I didn't want to go to MIT because of like Division I versus Division III, basically. That was why MIT got ruled out, because it's a Division III school for athletics. Stanford, though, it's just too far away. Like literally on the other side of the country from where I live, the climate would have been super different. There would have been a huge time change from home. And it just would have felt like too much of a jump, I think. And Harvard, when I came and visited, is just an unreal school. And so that's why I chose Harvard. Also grade inflation. That's true. All right. What are the upperclassmen dorms everyone wants? Dunster. Yeah, for sure. That's mine. I think everyone should want that. Do my classmates watch my videos? Sometimes they do, and it's kind of funny because they'll be like, hey, I saw you on YouTube, and then I'll be like, oh, what video did you watch? Which is, you know, I love it. And also it's awkward. Like, it's a weird dynamic. I don't know. I don't talk about YouTube that much in real life, but I'm not afraid of it either, if that makes sense. Like if it comes up in conversation, I'll talk about it. But and like most of my all of my close friends know that I do YouTube. Like it's hard to talk to me for more than like 10 minutes and not do it. But I don't really get classmates approaching me all that time in like Annenberg or whatever and saying like, "Oh, I saw you on YouTube," if that makes sense. Am I tall? I'm like 6'2". Is that tall? It's like pretty tall, I think. Did I go? How did I like Visitas? Did I go? I wasn't able to go to Visitas last year. Visitas is like the weekend where incoming Harvard students come down to Harvard and they stay with a student. I think I'm going to be hosting somebody for Visitas this year, or at least like my roommate will be, so I'll be there. Should be cool, I think. I've heard only positives from Visitas, so if you are in the admitted class and you want to go, like definitely go. Okay. What do Americans and Canadians think of universities like Oxford or Cambridge? I would say like in general, they don't have the same name recognition in like the average population. Like people don't necessarily know as much like, oh, like Oxford is on the level of Harvard and Yale. Like obviously we hear more about the schools in our area of the world, and I think the converse would be true. Like if you're in Europe, you probably know more about Oxford and Cambridge than about Harvard and Yale. But I think like everyone knows they're great schools. All right. What do I think about U of T for computer science? University of Toronto, amazing school. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was like, again, one of my top picks. It would have been that or McGill for me in Canada, but then I ended up in America. Nice haircut. Thank you. You're the first one that noticed, I think. Yeah. Fresh cut, you know. Waterloo over U of T. I mean, I'm personally biased towards Waterloo because I live there and I have a lot of friends that go there. But U of T is a great school too. All right. What else? What advice would I give to a high school freshman that wants to get into a top university like MIT or Stanford? Again, just follow your passions. Like do everything wholeheartedly. Do whatever you do, like just pursue it. Like just work at it. And don't let anybody like push you down. And that sounds really cliche, but like, I mean, when I started this YouTube channel, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, like are you gonna put that in a vlog? Like that's so weird. Why are you making YouTube videos? Like why'd you do that?" And it's like, you know, when you start anything, when you try and pursue anything, people do try and push you down. Like everyone wants you to conform to their standard of what the average thing is. And if you can just be the person that like is the best version of you in your own eyes, that's all you can really ask for. Have I heard about ETH Zurich? I have. Great school. Yeah. Did I find it was difficult getting enough sleep as a high schooler? I think it was only difficult because I made it difficult at times. And I mean, the same is still true. Like, you know, you definitely have the ability to sleep a lot, but you just have to balance that with other things that you're doing. And in my case, like a lot of what I was doing was watching YouTube and being on social media. And so because of that, I didn't sleep as much as I should have. And like, that's really it. I mean, there are also some cases where people like, they can't have enough hours in the day to sleep, and that's really tough. But I always recommend, like, if you think that you're spending like a few hours a day doing something that's not adding value, like try turning that into sleep. Like you will be a happier person. Do I listen to Eliza Rubin's podcast? No. I'm gonna look her up. I didn't know that she ran a podcast. I don't know who she is, but that's really sweet. I will. That's cool. I'll look her up. Why did I pick computer science as a major? I've loved computer science like all of my life. Like I said, I started in grade 5 and just continued all the way through high school and beyond. And I think that it's a really good thing to love right now as well, because like tech is hot and like it's the future. And I think everyone will eventually need to learn how to program. Like I think it's just kind of inevitable. And if you jump onto that train early, then you're just doing yourself a favor. Like no matter what your passion is, you should learn how to program, because it's just going to be the language of the future. It's going to be like your kids probably will learn programming coming up through school, and you'll just be behind them if you don't. Like I don't know. I think everyone needs to know it. All right. Did I consider applying to the UK for college? No. Same reason I didn't really look at California schools that hard. It's just too far away. And I wanted to be able to like fly home. Like I was able to fly home for Thanksgiving, and like that to me, like being able to fly home in an hour and a half, like that's amazing. Like who wouldn't want to do that? Having to spend like 5-6 hours, like 8 hours, like that takes a lot out of you. You might only go home once a year. Like you don't want to do that. Susan Fish, my mom, asked if my parents limited any technology and screens when I was young. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I had access to computers, but we didn't really go on them that much. Like, I think it's so interesting, on kind of a tangent on this, like the whole like YouTube Kids thing that's going on. Like, I think that's so weird. Like that people, because I see this all the time. Like adults that I know that have kids will just give their kids an iPad and be like, okay, like go entertain yourself, and they'll be on YouTube like watching videos. That's weird. Like I never had that in my life, because the technology just wasn't there when I was young. Like I don't necessarily know enough to make a judgment about whether that's good or bad, but it's weird. Like I think it's very weird. Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, I guess you did. But yeah, okay. Um, Sam Harris has a podcast. I didn't know that. That's awesome. How hard are the classes at Harvard? Um, so Harvard's like really cool because Harvard's really cool. Yes, it is. It's cool because there are some classes that are like incredibly hard, and then there are some classes that are not. And really, the way that it's designed is to allow you to pursue what you care about. So if you're somebody that really cares about abstract math, and it sounds funny to say that a little bit, but like there are people that like there's a lot of people that just really care about it. You take Math 55, and it takes you like 30 hours a week outside of class, and you love it, right? But if you're someone who, if you're an athlete, for example, then you don't spend as many hours on your classes because you're spending 30 hours a week with your sport. Like it just, Harvard really allows you to cater how hard your classes are for whatever your interests are. And I think that that is something that is not present at a lot of schools, and it's immensely valuable. All right. Do I have a dream job? I mean, my dream job would be, and people ask about what I want to do after Harvard as well. I would love to run my own company. I think that that is something that I've always wanted to do, that I've always thought about doing, and that I will do. When I say company, I mean a tech company, probably. I want to add value to the world in some way, and I think that it's really kind of difficult to do that from a salaried perspective. It's more scary to start something on your own as well, but I think that that I have the toolkit to be able to do that. And so I think that that's probably what I'll end up doing after school. All right. John Fish is going to be the next Steve Jobs. I don't know. I think a lot of people idolize like Steve Jobs and stuff, and I think like he's a smart guy. And the same thing with Elon Musk, right? Like these are brilliant, brilliant guys. But like, are they good people? I don't know. I've heard like mixed things, and I think like first and foremost, I want to be a good person. Like I want to do things that add value to the world. And I think would being the next Steve Jobs be that? Like I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Try a black turtleneck and we'll see. Yeah. All right. Favorite programming language, Python, for sure. It's just like it feels like you're writing in English because you are. But it's really powerful. It's not super fast. Like if I were to write something that was designed to be super fast, then like I'd probably have to use like C, like C++, something like that. But I don't know. I'm not usually doing that. I don't have to deal with terabytes of data. Jamhacks Hackathon is at SJM next week. I don't know how to code. Is it worth it to go? Yeah, of course. Like do things that make you uncomfortable all the time. If you think that you want to learn how to code in the future at all, like if it interests you remotely, then go and put yourself out of your comfort zone. Like 100% do that. All right. Is there a hierarchy in terms of intelligence at Harvard, or is everyone relatively the same smart? You know, so there are people that, like, I would say there's no hierarchy of intelligence in that, like, there are people that are smarter than other people, but there are people that care more about school. What I mean by that really is like everyone at Harvard is doing something for the most part. Like there are obviously outliers, but people, you don't just get into Harvard by being a good student. Like you're doing something with your life outside of school. And some of those people, like what they did outside of school was like more math and more science, like, and those are the people that are like really academically inclined. And so they're like the ones that I would say like they're not necessarily smarter per se, but they're definitely more dedicated and they definitely have a greater academic toolkit. But yeah, if that kind of makes sense, I hope. A or a boot? Yeah, people do make fun of the way that I talk. It's funny. How much free time do I have? So it depends what you count as free time, right? Because I actually end up spending like pretty much all of my time now working on things, but it's not like school. Like it's things that I'm doing for fun, if that makes sense. Like the YouTube channel, for example, like this. Like this is something that I'm just doing for fun. And so would I count this as free time? Like maybe. In terms of just time like sitting around on my phone, like I could replace the time that I'm spending with this. Like if I wasn't doing this, like maybe I would have been on my phone doing nothing. Like I don't know. So like you definitely have time to do things outside of classes and outside of studying, if that's what you're wondering. But I spend a lot of my time just doing things that are fun. All right. Does Harvard have a co-op program like University of Waterloo? No. What's up, Blue? How are you? Welcome back. We do not have a co-op program, but there are like internship things. Like it's called Crimson Careers, is what it's called. It's this like site where we can find jobs that are specific to Harvard students. In general, though, it's just like pretty much cross-posted. Like you can just. We don't have as good of a program as Waterloo for that, which is funny. Like you'd think that you would. All right. Ooh, good questions, Kelsey. What was the time I grew most at Harvard? What was my biggest failure that I grew from at Harvard? That's a tough one. I think so. This might be a bit of a cop-out answer, and I don't like giving cop-out answers. But bear with me on this, because I think that my biggest failure was kind of my ongoing pursuit of school over everything else. And I made a video talking about this, why my 4.0 at Harvard was a failure. Kind of justifying why I think it's a failure to do that. I just wasn't doing things that made me happy. I wasn't doing things that I found fun. And I think that that's really strange. Like why would I don't know, why would I do that? And what the time that I really grew the most. So I had this experience. It's a seminar. Well, I don't know if I should call it a seminar. It was a discussion group led by Dean Dingman, who is he's a dean of freshmen here at Harvard. He's actually retiring next year. Amazing guy, absolutely unreal. And so basically we spent, me and about 10 other students, we spent 3 dinners with him, like 90 minutes in his house, just like talking about our lives, like talking about where we came from, where we're at, and where we want to go. And it changed my life. Like, honestly, like I looked at what I had been doing for the past semester and I was like, what, like, why would I, like, you know? And it helped me realize like where I want to go in life. And I think that those 3 weeks, so it's one dinner a week. I think that those 3 weeks were probably the biggest period of growth that I've had here at Harvard, for sure. And now I'm making a conscious effort to be reflecting on what I'm doing. And I think that that's making a difference, for sure. Okay. Cool. See you, Quang. Yo, John, how should I spend my gap year? Yeah, that depends to like what do you want to do, Nicholas? Like, don't just spend it sitting around. That's my advice. Like, go do something. If you want to work somewhere, do it. If you want to do research, do it. Like, do something, because think about how many times in your life you're gonna have a year where you can just do whatever you want to do. Like, fairly low risk. Like, maybe you need to make a little bit of money over the year. Sure, but there's a lot of ways to do that, right? Like, after you graduate from college, if you decide to get a job, like, you're tied down with that. If you start a family, you're definitely tied down. Like, how often do you get that opportunity? Like, take advantage of it, man. All right. Am I a gamer at all? No, I'm not. I don't play video games. Went through like a couple phases. Like, I played Minecraft in middle school. Actually, someone tried to hack my Minecraft account today. That's really funny. I just remembered that. I woke up with like 12 emails from Mojang, which is a company that runs Minecraft. Someone like tried to break into my account. It was hilarious. I defended my account. Don't worry, I changed the password. No one will ever guess it. But yeah, I played Minecraft. What else? I played like a couple games. I played like Terraria. I was interested in those types of games, but I haven't played video games in like 3 or 4 years probably. All right. Well, how did my girlfriend and I meet? Good question. So we were both at cross country meets because we lived in the same like relative area. So she lived like 20 minutes away from me, but she's a really good runner. And like I was becoming like an okay runner. And so like we noticed each other and we knew of each other, but we didn't like really talk for like a year probably. I mean, I commented on a couple of her photos and stuff like that. And then eventually there was a group chat with some of my friends, and like I added her to it, I'll be real. And then we started talking in that, and then, you know, slid into the DMs. She slid into mine, actually. Yeah, that's how it started. Kind of funny. Yeah. Can I do a video on what's in my backpack? Yo, that's a really good idea, actually. That's a really... Why haven't I done that? Yeah, I should write that down. That's a good idea. Yes, probably can do that. Let's see. Do I know anyone at Harvard who got in off the wait list? Harvard is by far my #1 choice. Yes, if you're talking about early action wait list, I know a bunch of people that got in off of like the way that it works. Like if you don't get, so early action is like early, like October 31st, I think is the deadline. So you apply, and then if you get in, you just get in. If you don't get in, then you don't get in. But then there's also like this in between, which is a wait list. Happened to my roommate. He got waitlisted, and then during regular decision, he got in. In terms of like waitlist for regular decision, it's pretty rare. Like there's only like a few people every year. I haven't met anyone that did it, but it's not impossible. Okay. All right. What AP courses and grades did I get? I'm at WCI and in grade 9, getting mid-90s in AP Math and Science. Yeah, I mean, I just took the AP courses that were offered by my school, which were like 4, I think, 4 or 5. I mean, I did like mid-90s, high 90s in them. You'll be fine. Like if you're getting mid-90s, don't stress about it. You're good. All right. How to get rid of excuses and what motivates me to do schoolwork? Yeah, great questions. I mean, these are questions that like I struggle with, like, and that everyone struggles with, I think. Like, how do you stay motivated? How do you get rid of excuses? Like, I think if anyone knew the actual answer to that, like a lot of people will claim that they have the answer to that, but if anyone actually knew it, like, I don't know, they might be the most productive person in the world. Like, everyone struggles with this. Everybody. Nobody has the answer. And you just can't be too hard on yourself again. Like, you gotta accept that you will be, sometimes you just won't want to do work, and just accept that. But then also just, I find what helps me the most is just keeping in mind my goals. And honestly, if you think about a goal that you really want to achieve, like for a lot of people, like getting into college, that's a goal that a lot of people really want to achieve. And I think that that's useful, not so much in the actual achievement of that goal, but in the journey to get there. Like if it makes you really excited to think about getting into Harvard or whatever, then it will motivate you. And you just kind of have to find those goals in life, and you have to let them motivate you, and then it'll just come naturally. But just don't be too hard on yourself. I should start a podcast in the future. That's actually one of my Patreon goals. If you go to my Patreon page, you'll see. If I reach $500 a month, I mean, I'll probably do it before that. I'll be launching a podcast eventually. I've got plans for that. I think it'd be cool. Would I ever consider pursuing a career as a YouTuber if the opportunity presented itself? So I think that YouTube is like a really great stream of revenue. I think that a lot of people are able to make good livings off of it. And it's something that I would definitely continue to pursue. Like I wouldn't want to stop it after graduation or anything like that. Like I have plans for this channel that go deep, deep into the future. I don't think that I would ever want it to be the only thing that I'm doing. Like I would want to be running, because I have to talk about something. Like I want to talk about what I'm doing with my life and why that is important, and in the share messages that I'm learning, share lessons that I'm learning. And I think that I would never want to just be a YouTuber, because I think if you do that, then you get sucked into like the making content just for the sake of making content. But I think like, if I end up running a business, it'd be really cool to make videos about that. So that's kind of where I think. Have I ever heard of Ryan Trahan? I have. I think he is a cool guy. I'm not sure that I think it takes a lot of guts to drop out of school to pursue YouTube. It's not something that I plan on doing, just to be real. But I think, like I support him. Like, you do you, man. And he seems like a cool guy too. Like I watch his videos now and then. Cool guy. Okay. Someone, my grammar. John, what music do I listen to? What music do I listen to? For studying, so my one thing for studying is like I can't do lyrical music because I just sing along. Like if I like a lot of the time I'll be listening to like hip hop or pop or whatever, just in my free time if I'm walking or whatever. I can't listen to that when I'm studying though, because I just sing along. Like it's too catchy. So like if I want noise going on, which I think is useful, I'll do like Rainy Mood, which is like rain sounds, or I'll do like classical music or like studying playlists that are on Spotify. I don't know, here and there. All right. How do I balance my time at Harvard? I'm going to be making a video about that. Especially like my one thing that I definitely recommend is keeping a journal. Growth books coming out soon. Yeah, I think that is like one of the big things that you can do. It's just like planning your time and like actively reflecting on what you've been doing and what you're going to be doing. Do I plan to design and release a pen to go with my notebook? I've thought about that actually. I think it'd be cool to do in the future. I can't really find a supplier. Like, okay, so the pen that I use is a really cool pen. It's a Fisher Space Pen. I really like it. And they kind of have that on lock. Like, I wouldn't want to release like a bad pen. I think that would be lame. So for now, no, but maybe in the future. Fast is actually an adverb. Excellent. Glad to know. My mom is a professional editor, author, really cool person. I trust her with my grammar. She's good. Oh, people are asking about chess. That's kind of neat. I don't play chess, like competitively or even really that much recreationally. Like I've played it before in the past. A lot of people here do play it though, like kind of competitively, like online. Like I've got friends that like watch chess videos all the time and stuff. I think that's cool. Never really been me. Just never really got into it. I could see myself getting into it. I just never have. All right, let's see. What was my favorite class in high school and this year? That's a really good question, Madhav. What was my favorite class in high school? There are a few classes that I took that I thought were really cool. So I talked a little bit before, like an hour ago probably, about my high school having a tech program, which was really neat. Communication technology was a course that I took in my senior year that got me into video making. And that's one of my favorite courses that I took ever, including at Harvard. It was just unreal. There was another one that was like an electrical engineering course. There were a few of those that I took, absolutely unreal as well. I was really into the engineering. Some of the computer science, I had a really cool computer science teacher as well. He had a PhD in computer science. And that was like super eye-opening for me, because how many times do you really get to work in high school with someone with a PhD in computer science? Like that's pretty rare. So that was unreal. So yeah, those were some of the favorite courses. Probably my favorite course that I've taken this year though is the Zen Buddhism course that I talked about. Yeah, last semester. I took a Zen Buddhism freshman seminar and it was unreal. Trudes, thank you so much, man. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your day as well. Did my parents go to any Ivies? No, they didn't. They both went to school in Canada. Yeah, I'm the only one in my family, really. If I tried horse riding, maybe once when I was. Is my mom still here? Yeah, okay. I think she is. I think it's like I have this vague recollection. We went to British Columbia like when I was like really young. Maybe not even really young. I think I was like just about like 10. And I think I went horseback riding then, like once, but like never really got into it. What house did I get? Dunster. I got into Dunster House. Really cool house. It's on the river. That's really what matters. What classes am I taking at the moment? I'm taking CS51, which is functional programming. I'm taking Math 21B, which is linear algebra. I'm taking Expos 20, which is an expository writing course. And I'm taking Swedish. Great language. Let's see. What else are we talking about? Dumpster House, yeah. Dunster. Dunster. All right. Let's see. What would my advice be for people who don't have an obvious passion? A lot of people ask questions about like, how do you find a passion, right? I've actually so my Expos class, my expository writing class, it's the theme, because they all have themes. It's all about the psychology of success and failure. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is this idea that people believe that passions are innate. That is, like, you are born with a desire to do something. But I think if you think about that for like a few seconds, you might realize why it's wrong. Like, I don't think that anybody is really born to run, to code, to swim, to do whatever. Like, sure, you might have certain advantages from like a biomechanical standpoint, or you might have certain like genetic dispositions to things. But I think that in general, passions are things that are taught and that are learned. And so if you're looking to find a passion, what you really have to go after is just like a breadth of experiences. And so you have to look for these experiences that you've never done before, things that make you uncomfortable, and you just have to throw yourself fully into them. Like with hackathons, for example, like if you want to get into computer science, or if you haven't done computer science, like just go to a hackathon, go to a programming competition where beginners are welcome, and just throw yourself into it and just commit to it for a day and just see, like, is this something I could see myself doing? And I think if you do that with enough things, you will find something that speaks to you, and then just chase that. All right. Is Dave Fish my dad? Yes. Do I know any students who got a full ride at Harvard? So one of the first things that we talked about on this stream, but I'm not sure how many people are really sticking around since then because it's been like 90 minutes. One of the first things that I talked about, though, was what financial aid at Harvard is like. So the way that financial aid at Harvard works is not on a merit-based approach. And so what that means is that you don't actually get scholarships for being a good athlete or for being a good student. Like, it just doesn't happen. You get scholarships based on how much you need it, based on your income. So there are a lot of people at Harvard who don't pay a dime because their family makes less than $60,000 a year, I think is the cutoff. And a lot of people, like myself included, pay like only a marginal percentage of the actual tuition cost. Harvard's very good about that. So it's not merit-based, full scholarship. That's kind of like, if you see like, oh, this person got accepted to Harvard on a full ride, like that's kind of a misnomer, but it's okay. All right. Do I know how financial aid works at MIT? I don't, but I think it's very similar to Harvard. Usually the really big schools, like when you think about like big names, so like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Princeton, and I think MIT's in that boat as well. I think they all do this need-based scholarship approach, or need-based financial aid. But I can't guarantee that for MIT because I never really looked into it. All right. Do I know anything about international applications? Yeah, I was an international student. It's pretty much just the same. Like, you have to go through the same application process. The only weird thing is like you have to really actively talk to your guidance counselor about it because you need guidance counselor letter of recommendation. And at my school, every guidance counselor was responsible for like hundreds of students. And so that's very different from in America where a guidance counselor might only have like 30 students. And therefore they have a personal relationship with them. At my school, that just wasn't true. So you just have to actively seek that out from like the beginning of your senior year, really. And if you get started on that early, like that's a good thing. Do I sometimes feel insecure about the things that I'm good at? For sure. I think one of the things, so I think everyone feels insecure. Like, I think you can't really get rid of that. Some people are just really good at putting on a face of not feeling insecure. But I think everyone has these questions inside them, like, am I really good enough? Am I doing the right things with my life? And especially when you have people putting you down. Like for me on the internet, like YouTube, like people make mean comments all the time. And that's something that I just had to learn to deal with. So do I feel insecure? Sure. But do I let it get me down? Like, no, you kind of have to recognize when you're not making sense. Like when that's just that, like, it's just like this like weird little voice in your head. And if you can just make sure that you're not listening to it, like you just recognize, oh, like it's that evil little voice again. I think that's my advice for getting rid of insecurity. But everyone deals with insecurities. What are some books that have changed my life or inspired me? I'm going to put the link again in the chat towards the books that I'm reading this year, or that I've read so far this year. But ones that are not on there, Flow is not on there. Mindset is not on there. Those are two really good books. Should you transfer schools if yours doesn't have AP? No. AP honestly doesn't help your application out that much. The only reason why it might help your application out is, so it doesn't help. It only hurts if you're at a school that offers AP and you don't take it. But if you're at a school that doesn't offer AP, like a university would never expect you to transfer just to take AP courses. Like, that doesn't make sense. How to get rid of toxic people who don't make an environment which is conducive to your academic progress. I think there's a few pieces of advice that I could give here. One, sorry, I just bumped my computer. One, you just have to be really confident in yourself, and you have to realize that like you need to build a strong foundation, and you really need to love yourself. And then you need to find people around you. Like for me, like family, like my girlfriend, some of my really close friends from back home, and a few here. You need to build like a really strong foundation. And then you need to realize that everyone else doesn't really matter, because those are the people that you're going to be spending your life with and that you care about, and everything else is kind of just wasted energy. And so if people are pushing you down, like just cut them out. Like just do it. And what sucks is that if those people are in your family, luckily I've never had to deal with that. I have an amazing family, but I know people have left comments on my YouTube videos like, what do I do? Like my mom does this, my dad does this. Honestly, in that case, you got to rely more heavily on yourself and on your friends around you. Like you need to build that network yourself. It's not just gonna happen. Yeah. John, do you have to be a valedictorian to get in? I actually wasn't the valedictorian at my school, so no. Hype beast? Question mark. What do I think about studying abroad? I think it'd be really cool. I would love to study abroad for a little bit. I think it would be fun to go to like Switzerland. That's one place that I've wanted to go because my dad goes there regularly for CERN, the particle accelerator there. So yeah, maybe I'll do that, but I don't know. We'll see. Will I do a fan meeting in Europe? I'm not in Europe, and I probably won't be going to Europe. So like for at least like a year. So I can't argue with, or I can't speak to that. Wow, there's people from Switzerland here. That's cool. Did I consider University of Waterloo or U of T? Yeah, of course. Because I lived in Waterloo, like Waterloo was always the school that I kind of assumed that I would go to. Like to be honest with you guys, like I never really thought about going to Harvard until like junior summer. Like probably like August. No, well, July maybe, late July, early August. I didn't think about it. It just wasn't something on my mind. I assumed I'd go to Waterloo or McGill or U of T. Those were kind of the three schools I figured I'd end up at. And then it just became a possibility. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's do it. Like, why not? Just throw myself out there. And it just happened. So, yeah, I considered a bunch. I mean, those schools were the ones that I considered primarily. And then, yeah. Do I have a subscriber goal? I mean, like, my goal is to get as big as possible. One of my goals is to hit 100,000 by the end of the year, by the end of the calendar year. I think that is one of the things that I would love to do, and I'm almost on pace to do it. So if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see where this channel goes. I have plans for how I'll transition it, because I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that only talks about college things. Like, college is a big part of my life, and it's one of the things that I'm really good at, and so it's one of the things that I have experience with, and so I can talk about it right now and deliver some value to the world in that sense. But I don't want to be someone that only talks about, like, how to get a 5 on your AP, how to score this on your ACT, whatever. Yeah. All right. Are the profs actually good at Harvard, or do I do the majority of my learning on my own? The profs are amazing. Yeah, profs and TFs and what are the other people called? Harvard has weird names for things. So like your teachers are called like strange things depending on their like hierarchy ranking, in terms of payment and like whatever structure. But yeah, they're unreal. I don't have to really reteach myself a lot of the material. I mean, occasionally I do here and there, especially like, I mean, there's a few courses where I've had to do that here, but for the most part, the professors are amazing, especially in like the smaller settings. Like a few of my courses that only have like 10 or 12 people, unreal, like absolutely unreal. Okay. Oh, what do I do when I'm not studying? Where do I go? You're in Boston, so I'm sure there's a ton. You're absolutely right. Boston is like an unreal city. I love Boston. One of the places I love going, the Museum of Fine Arts, really cool place. There's another museum that I want to go to. I think it's called the Museum of Contemporary Art. I saw an ad for it on the subway the last time I was going to the Museum of Fine Arts, and yeah, I want to go there. There's a bunch of cool. I love just exploring Harvard because like you think that you've seen most things at Harvard, and then you walk into a building that you've never been into before, and it's like a crazy art gallery that nobody's in, and it's just you. That happened to me the other day. True story. Really neat. Yeah. So I like exploring. I should go out more often though, to be real. Like I don't explore Boston as much as I should. You really like the transitions in my videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Have I met other Harvard YouTubers? I have. There are a few other ones that I know of. Yeah, I mean, there are people pursuing passions of all varieties here, and YouTube's a fun one. So I'm not the only one by any means. I'm not even the biggest one. Have I met Gabby Thomas yet? I have. Yeah. Peyton Jones, pick Harvard over MIT. Come on. You know it's the right choice. I'd pick whatever you want, Peyton. I just think Harvard's amazing. I do. Okay. What else should we talk about? Did I find a big gap between pre-AP and AP? Some of the AP teachers have said it's a big gap. I didn't. So I only took pre-AP. I mean, my school only really offered pre-AP for math. I don't really know if there is pre-AP in other subjects or if that even exists in America. Like maybe it's just something that my school made up and Canadian schools make up. It wasn't a big difference, so you'll be fine. Opinions on Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's a lizard for sure. 100%. Did you, side note, did you see the video? That's my brother that asked that question. Say hi to Matt. Hey, my dad's there too. Wow, everyone in the family except for my sister's here. He posted, there's like this video where he was doing a live QA and someone asked him if he was a lizard and he just roasted them. Like, it's hilarious. Megan was here earlier. Oh, cool. The whole family. All right. Do I know any Harvard transfer students? Yes. Yes, I know like a few. There's not a ton because not a lot of people really leave Harvard, but so there's not like a lot of room for transfer students, unfortunately. But I know a few. What's my favorite IDE or text editor? Vim. I use Vim now. I've fully converted. If you don't, I mean, most people in here probably don't care, but Vim, I also use Sublime Text. Any videos coming up? Yes, sir. Every Friday. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification button if you haven't already, because I think YouTube subscriptions are like going through a weird phase right now or something. I don't know. People are talking about it, and I think I've noticed that. But yeah. Will this stream go on all night? No, it won't. I'll probably have to shut it down in like 15 minutes or so. I've been going for a couple of hours almost. But it's been really fun. I think I'm going to do this fairly regularly. What was my admission essay about? I think this would make a really good video, and I could talk about this for a while. It was about failure, though. It was about a big failure in my life and how I grew from that, which, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense when you look at what my YouTube channel is. That's something I like to talk about. Failure is a good thing. It's good to be uncomfortable. Thank you for the subscription, Anthony. I do appreciate that. Do I follow my schedule rigorously? How do I plan my schedule and goals each day? So when I talk about my growth book, like when it actually launches, maybe I'll go a little bit more in depth into how I do this. I try to follow it pretty rigorously in that like most of the things that I write down in my schedule actually have like a deadline. Like you can't just show up to class 15 minutes late. I mean, you can, but it's not like... It's not flexible. The class starts at 9 or 9:07 because we're on Harvard time. Like it starts 7 minutes after the hour, whether you're there or not. Some of the things though in there, like if I say I'm going to work on homework for a few hours, like I try and stick to that because I made a commitment to do it. And one of the things that I think is really important and why writing things down really helps is, I'm reading a book about this right now actually, talking about the commitment to the consistency, like psychological trigger. And the idea is like once you've made a commitment to something in terms of writing it down or telling people or saying it out loud, then you are psychologically inclined to stay consistent to that. So for example, like if you say like, okay, I am going to be someone that conserves energy, or you write that down or you tell people that, you are more likely to be consistent with that. It's just the truth. It's really, actually, there's some cool studies on it, yeah. Did I know that I was a creator on the rise? I did know that, and I thought it was kind of like, I mean, it was amazing, obviously, like a bunch of new people came to the channel, and that was really cool. It was unfortunate the video that they featured, though, because it was not my greatest video by any stretch of the imagination. It was a video that I just made like while I was traveling, and I wanted to get a video out there, and I feel like it wasn't representative of the channel at all, so I felt bad about that. Let's see. What is my opinion on taking notes on an iPad using an Apple Pencil? I'm a really strong advocate, again, for not using technology to take notes. In my experience, it's just not as effective. And I think that definitely taking notes on an iPad using an Apple Pencil is going to be better than typing them out. But I just like wonder, like, what advantage do you think you're getting out of that out of writing something on paper? Like, I just don't see any advantages to it, and I see a lot of setbacks. Like, it's a cool idea, and I definitely like that idea. Like, I had friends that had Surface Pros, for example. Like, when they were first coming out, I had a really close friend that was using that in university. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And he was like, well, it actually kind of sucks. Like, I think that, like, you can't really go wrong with paper and pencil. So, yeah. How much will the notebook cost? $20, but $15 if you catch it on sale. Please do a day in the life video coming soon, next 2 weeks, for sure. Was I the only one in my school to go to an Ivy League? I believe so. And that is more a reflection of the fact that I live in Canada. So not a lot of people go to America for school, let alone an Ivy League school. Some people are saying like using notes on iPads, it helps you organize better and makes things convenient by backing them up. Again, like I would push back a little bit on that by saying like it's really not that hard to just take pictures of your notes, and like there are apps where you can take a picture of your notes and it'll pick out the keywords so you can search for them. Like that is something that exists. I think you can get the best of both worlds if you put a little bit of effort in. Do I know anyone that goes to Queen's Commerce? I believe so. Yeah, I think so. I know a lot of people that go to Queen's, and I'm sure that there are people in that subset that are in the commerce program. Nils, thank you so much. Have a good sleep, dude. What are my goals for the next 10 years? Wow, that's a really good question. I'm not sure how many of them like I want to share publicly. I think maybe more because it's like it's kind of a, I don't know, that's kind of like a personal thing in terms of like the specifics that I want to be doing. So a few things though. One thing, I want to be in a position where I'm actively adding value to the world in the majority of the things that I'm doing, which is to say I don't want to be just working a job to make money. And I think that what really made me realize this was looking at Harvard, I mean, this is something that I've always wanted to do, but just looking at the idea of spending my entire life being a consultant and maybe making, you know, $300,000 a year. Like, yeah, like who wouldn't want to make that much money? But spending my entire life just like playing with numbers and not helping people, I think would be, that's something I never want to do. Okay. And so I think more like in 10 years, I want to be in a position where I have financial freedom for sure, but I'm making the world a better place. What is the workload at Harvard like? Is it crazy? No, it's not that crazy, to be honest. If you want to make it crazy, take crazy courses. Like you could take Physics 16 and Math 55 and have like 80 hours of homework a week. But if you take normal courses, you are fine. Does financial aid cover travel costs for international students? Yes, it does account for it fairly generously as well, I believe. if you're interested in Harvard Financial Aid, they have a really easy calculator online. Like you can just Google Harvard Financial Aid calculator, I think, and it'll show up. And like you only have to put in like 5 or 6 numbers, and they'll give you a really good estimate, like pretty accurate in my experience. Oh, sorry, Krish. I did see you repeat that question. But won't not having AP hurt your application? That's a double negative. So if you let me think about that. If you don't have AP and your school doesn't offer it, the colleges will not fault you, because like how could you have taken AP courses if you're at a school that doesn't offer it? Like how could you have taken it? In most cases, you can't just transfer high schools, at least in Canada. I don't know really how it works in America, but like in general, like you can't just go to another school for no reason. And usually taking AP classes is not a good enough reason. And so from that perspective, like you shouldn't worry about it too much. There are a lot of other things that you can be focusing on, and AP is only one of them. Is the CS50 professor real? David Malin, he's a legend. He's an icon, okay? My roommate has a framed photo of him in our room. It's kind of funny. Please upload the entire video after the stream. Okay. I think it does that automatically. No, Chris, it's all good. I don't know. Double negative. Have I ever met students from Mongolia in Harvard? No, but I had one in my high school. So that was cool. What do I think the lowest GPA is to get into Harvard? I think this is actually published somewhere. You can look it up. I think there was like a thing that the Crimson did. So I recommend looking that up if you're interested. What is my favorite sport? Track and field. What lessons did Science Fair and Breakthrough Challenge teach me? I think more than anything, what doing projects and what doing things like Science Fair and Breakthrough Challenges and like competitions, what that teaches you more than anything is just that you can ask difficult questions that have no immediate answer, and that you, through hard work and through making a bunch of mistakes and learning from those mistakes, you can arrive to an answer, like an acceptable answer. I think that was the big learning experience for me. Like it was really cool to just be able to look at something that a few months ago I had no idea what the solution would be, and have something that worked. I think that's what it taught me more than anything, problem solving. Hey, maple syrup, I will see you next year for sure, dude. How's the food at Harvard? Like pretty good, to be honest. I eat well. I think if you're lazy about it and you only go to so the way that it works in Annenberg, right, it's like a buffet, and there are healthy options and there are like regular options, and then there's unhealthy options as well occasionally. And you have to put a little bit of work in to eat well, as you always do to eat well, but like you're fine. I think a lot of people kind of just like cop out and they like to complain about the food because it's like the socially regular thing to do here. But again, you have to realize like the sample size at Harvard, like people might be coming from a background where like good food for them might be like extraordinary food, right? So I don't know, you just have to, if you're coming from like a fairly regular background, like the food will be normal. It's pretty normal. It's healthy. All right. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad. All right. So many questions. Wow. Did I ever take CEMC Waterloo math contests? I did. They were really fun. I took them, I took a bunch of them every year. I took the senior one, SMC. I did the team one. I did the intermediate one before I did the senior one. I did like the Gauss, the Fermat, the Euclid. Yeah, all of those. Yeah, those are super fun. Do math contests. They're really fun. What will I say now that you're gone? Ha. Talk about how terrible my parents are. Actually, guys, I've got to go in like a few minutes as well. But I really appreciate it. Like, this has been super fun. Yeah, I did take the Euclid. I did not expect this many questions, nor did I expect this many people to tune in. Like, this has been awesome. Like, I really appreciated this, guys. This is a cool experience. I'm definitely going to do this more often if you think you're interested in it. Like, it seems like people have a lot of questions, and like, I love to give answers. So, I'm thinking bi-weekly. Is when we're going to do this. So every other week on average, and probably on weekends, because when I posted in the community tab A lot of people said they'd be interested in the live stream, and the biggest feedback that I got was like, don't do it on a Wednesday, which was when I was proposing it. So we'll probably be looking at doing these fairly regularly on weekends. I might be traveling some weekends, so I might do some from the road. That could be fun. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I think, so one thing I wanted to do is I want to get my roommate and some of my friends in on these as well, and we'll do more of that, like just get other people answering questions, because I think, you know, just watching me answer questions for 2 hours might not be super fun. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna leave. Before I leave though, just one last time to plug the various things that you can do if you want to stay involved with what I'm doing with my life. So one thing, I'm going to post a link right now. If you're not already subscribed to my newsletter and you want to, you know, get emails and hear about what I'm doing, check that out. It's that goo.goal link in there. Another thing, obviously, hit the subscribe button. And finally, like, if you really care about what I'm doing and you want to support me in a way that, you know, you can pay, and you want to talk to me, check this out. It's my Patreon. Whoa, it's not coming up. There you go. The link is broken. What? How's the link? Why did these links keep breaking? That's crazy. Because I just copied. I'm so sorry. Is that going to work? All right, that one worked. Cool. So that's weird. Okay, anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate all the love and the support. And yeah, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be posting another video this Friday, another one the Friday after that. I've got a bunch of videos planned. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.